Winter is here, my friends. Happy holidays, and I hope you're all doing well. So this will be the last video of 2020, and I figured, why not go out with a bang? We're going to throw down the rule of cool literally on this custom because we're going to be tackling the Camo X-treme Arctic T-Rex. Now, you know me, I like to take things to the next level. And what better way to take things to the next level than by doing this paint deco on a feathered T-Rex? I spent a better part of a week sculpting all of these feathers on this T-Rex, and it was a gauntlet for sure. Trying to figure out a way to sculpt these feathers so it didn't hinder any of the articulation so I could still move them around. That was super challenging, but I was able to put these ones on the back of the neck area and sculpt them in a way to where all of the joints will still move around. The button is sculpted over, but I can still prop the mouth open with a little toothpick or something like that. But all the articulation still works with the feathers. And I used Beast of the Mesozoic, David Silva, his Velociraptor, sculpting and feathers as a sort of a reference for this. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to take you through just a brief process of sculpting the feathers on the legs. I used epoxy putty here, and part A, part B, mix them together, boom, like that. The magic of television, you don't have to watch me knead it. And I'm going to lay it out flat, and I'll show you briefly how I got the feather textures. And this was done with a sculpting tool. It's kind of like, it's got like a little scoopy looking thing. And I go in and sort of make triangles, right? So I'll make one side, and then I'll do the other side, and then repeat that basically over and over and over again ad nauseum until I get the general feather look. So I'm going to take the epoxy sculpt here and roll it out real thin and then press it onto the leg, and I'm using my X-Acto knife to make sure that I don't hinder the joint, the leg joint, from moving around. I want to be able to keep everything free moving, and that way nothing gets scraped or anything like that. And then basically take the sculpting tool and start pressing in all of my little triangles and shape them into feather, plumage, or whatever you want to call it, fur, just to kind of give it that general appearance of it. I'm not a professional sculptor in any way. Most of this stuff I make up as I go along, but fortunately David's Velociraptor, having that on hand is a nice little reference tool to use. Then once I get everything sculpted out, I'll take a paintbrush and some water and go over and smooth all of these sculpted details out. That way it just kind of blends everything together. And then this thing is going to have to cure for about 3 to 4 hours, and then once it's rock solid, it's ready to rock and roll. Now, I added a few extra things off camera. I added some more feathers on the sides of his body and some feathers on top, some bigger feathers, and then I added like a little faux hawk on top of its head because the Hasbro Arctic T-Rex has sort of some like orange striping going on, but I thought that would look pretty cool as like orange plumage sticking up off the top of his head, like a little mohawk or something like that. You can see here in the photograph that I have. But I'm going to be using the colors on this sort of inspiration. It's not going to be an exact replica of it, but I'm going to be kind of sticking to the color pattern on this thing. And starting off first, we're going in with some just white acrylic paint. And this is a really bright white, and what I want to do is I want to give it a very Arctic, sort of chilly skin tone. So I'm going to be dry brushing the white over the gray areas, and that's going to help make the details stick out, and it's going to make it look like I know what I'm doing when it comes to sculpting feathers. So I've got the first layer of dry brushing done, and now I'm going to grab the airbrush, and I'm going to start applying some thin layers of white over the body. Because like I said, I really want this kind of pale Arctic sort of chilly vibe. I want it to kind of have an icy feel to it. And this is going to really help kind of sell the whole Arctic skin tone vibe that I'm going for. So I'm going to mix up some Createx white with a little bit of reducer in there, just to kind of thin it up a little bit. And that way it can kind of go on transparent in a way, because you'll see the gray and the white underneath that white layer that I'm going to put down, and it's going to really make the body look kind of icy and chilly looking. And that's the sort of general effect that I wanted to go for. And now to further sell the icy skin tone effect that I want, I'm going to need to do a glaze over it. And this is sort of like a wash-like consistency. I'm going to take some of this golden blue paint. It's a really light, kind of like a sky blue color. And it's already considerably thin in the bottle. It's meant for airbrushing. And so what I'm going to do is actually dilute it with even more water, and I want to make sort of a light blue glaze. Now this is going to change the tone of the skin. It's going to turn it into a light blue color. But once the wash or the glaze is dry, it's going to really sell that icy effect that I'm going for on the skin, and it's going to kind of make it glow and sort of look like an ice monster. And that's what I'm going for. That's really going to sell the skin tone. And I'll do this process several times, and until I build up the skin color to where I'm happy with it. So it'll be significantly whiter by the time I'm done with it, but that blue will still kind of be there underneath the white color, and it will kind of give it that sort of color shift, icy effect. So now I'm going to go in with some of this light blue Createx airbrush paint, and I'm going to start building up the light blue color on the tip of the snout. So now that's done, I'm going to start painting all these feathers that I sculpted. So I'm using Model Masters blue here, and painting the feathers. It's basically just coloring now at this point. So just going down with the paint. Now this paint doesn't really need to be thinned down, so it goes on pretty smooth, and it's a very durable paint. I've been very pleased with the Model Masters stuff. So I'm going to lay down this first layer of blue, and I'm also going to darken up the tip of the snout, but since I am using blue and there's some white on the bottom jaw, I'm going to use this paper towel to mask off the bottom part so I don't get any overspray, but I'm going to darken up the tip of that snout right there. All right, so now we're going in with some light blue, and we're going to start dry brushing. Now, the dry brushing is going to bring out all of the sculpted details, and this is going to make it look like I really know what I'm doing, because it's going to make all the feathers individually kind of pop. And I'm going to go over all the raised areas on the top part of the face. Now, this is going to be like several layers, right? So I'll do the base coat, and then I'll do a dry brush, and then I'll go over it with a glaze, like a darker blue glaze. Let that dry, go back over it with another dry brushing color, switching back and forth between different blues, basically, to build up different color patterns all over each feather, and it'll really give it some life. So now I'm going in with this scarlet color. I'm going to paint the little mohawk that he's got going on up on top. This is like a really dark orange, and it's a really nice color. It's from Vallejo, and it's just Vallejo Scarlet. I picked it up at Hobby Lobby, and I really like the color. So now I'm going to accent the quills, or the feathers on top of his head, with a little bit of yellow mixed into that scarlet color to give some accent highlight colors, and that'll just make all the mohawks pop. The claws are pretty straightforward. They're just going to get a couple of coats of this dark gray color, similar to what the original figure has. And then the eyeball is also getting painted with that scarlet. It's a real nice red-orange color. I really like it. And then the inside of the mouth here, now I've got a special flesh tone mix that I've got in a cup that I've mixed, and it's got so many different colors in it. I'm not 100% certain what they all are, but there's a lot of like a flesh tone in it, and then there's some red in it, and I've got some burnt umber mixed in there. It just is a really nice natural flesh color. So that's what I like to use for gums and in the insides of the mouth and stuff like that. Now we're going to paint the teeth, and the teeth, same thing. It's just a custom kind of teeth color that I have. And that is the, antique white and I think yellow ochre mixed together to get that nice off-white yellow colored tooth. And they look really great on this. That really pops on this figure. The colors, everything pops together really well on this thing. So aside from the standard sealing it with a varnish at the end, this custom is done, and he's looking awesome. I'm super happy with it, and he is ready to rock and roll in his Jurassic Winter Wonderland that I have built for him. Side note here, I filmed a little behind the scenes of the shot here before we get into like the cool looking pictures, with all these special effects added. But I was thinking that it's kind of funny that 100% of the time I'm pretty much filming in sort of a jungle, tropical environment. My photo booth is all jungly, right? Every bright and green and everything like that. So I actually had to tear all that down and build this sort of icy environment for this T-Rex to live in, you know, for these pictures. And it was actually really fun building a different environment. I used a lot of stuff from out in my yard. I have some Leyland cypress trees, which are sort of like giant Christmas tree looking things. And I snipped some of the limbs off and used those as sort of evergreen trees in the background. I used some real rocks from out in my front yard. I used old pillow stuffing, some white pillow stuffing as sort of mounds of snow in the backdrop. And then I took some white bread flour and I sprinkled the whole table with white bread flour. So that's going to be fun to clean up when I'm done. So I really hope you guys enjoyed sort of the behind the scenes of the pictures and you enjoy the sort of fun special effects pictures at the end. That's going to do it for me for this video and for this year. I am taking the rest of the year off, a couple of weeks until January 1st, 2021. And I'm going to spend some time with family, enjoy the holidays, and eat way more calories than a 36-year-old adult should. But I will be back in January of 2021 with brand new content for you guys. In the meantime, for more Jurassic Park related content, you know where to find me. Links will be in the description box below. You guys take care, and I will see you in the next video.